Hello, welcome to the QuantumXL Advanced T-Test tutorial. To do a t-test in QuantumXL, first you have to make sure that QuantumXL is running. You can tell that QuantumXL is running if you see QXL Monte Carlo, QXL StatTools, and QXL DOE in the Excel ribbon. If you don't, then you need to start QuantumXL just like you would any other application. To do the t-test, first you have to enter your data into the spreadsheet. As you can see in column A, I have entered the time to accomplish a task using method A, and in column B, I've entered the time to accomplish a task using method B. First, I'm going to select the data, then I'm going to select QXL StatTools, hypothesis test, test for mean, and then the two-sample t-test. The first dialog asks the data range. If I had failed to select the data range before we started, then I could select it now. And I'm going to create the default t-test first by clicking Finish. Now let's look at the analysis from the default t-test, and then we'll go back and look at the advanced options. At the top of the screen, you can see that QuantumXL defines the null hypothesis, which is that the means are the same, and then it defines the alternate hypothesis, which the means are not the same. QuantumXL displays rejected next to the null hypothesis, that the means are the same, and it says accepted next to the alternate hypothesis, which is the means are not the same. The reason it does that is that the p-value, the resulting p-value from the t-test, is less than the current alpha crit or decision criteria as defined by the advanced options. So when we get into the advanced options, I want you to remember this 0.05 level. Whenever the p-value is less than the decision criteria, then you will see rejected and accepted. And if the p-value is greater than the decision criteria, then you will see the message insufficient data. And we'll see an example of that in just a moment. The default t-statistic is here. The confidence intervals are listed for the difference in means. And then the basic tutorial talks about the rest of this information, such as the box plots and the dot plots. Now what I'll do is rerun this hypothesis test, and this time I'm going to go through the advanced options. I want you to remember two key numbers here. The first one is this decision criteria. That's the first thing to remember. And then the second thing is this 95% confidence interval for the test difference. That's the second thing I want you to remember. So I'm going to go back to the data. And this time, I'm going to click on, again, the same QXL StatTools, hypothesis test, test for mean, and two-sample t-test. The data range is correct, so this time I'm going to click Next. And now we can see the options for the t-test. The first option is which hypothesis test to use. The first one is the two-sided test, which is the means are not the same. The second test is a one-sided test, which is method A's mean is less than method B. And then third option is again a one-sided test, which is method A's mean is greater than method B. Below that is a test for a difference of at least. The default is 0. So that just means that would be is method A's mean equal to or not equal method B mean. If I was to put a 5 there, then it would have is the difference of at least 5 units. Under advanced options, you can see that you can change the decision criteria. That was the first thing I asked you to remember. So for the default decision criteria is 0.05. Almost everybody uses 0.05, but if you didn't want to use 0.05, let's say you wanted to be very confident and you change this to 0.01, then it would change the decision criteria to 0.01. The confidence level is the confidence level for the confidence interval. I'm going to change that to 0.99. And then underneath that, you can see the assume equal variance. There are two versions of the t-test. One assumes equal variance, one does not. If you want to assume equal variance, you check the box. Otherwise, leave the box unchecked. By default, QuantumXL will show both the box plot and the dot plot, but that is optional. And then the display mode of normal versus verbose. Verbose gives you all the information about the hypothesis being tested. Normal pretty much just gives you the p-value. Now when I click on Finish, QuantumXL gives me the results. Notice that the null hypothesis is the same as it was before. The alternate hypothesis is the same as it was before. However, this time, the p-value is again unchanged at 0.01. However, because we changed the decision criteria to 0.01, now the p-value is greater than the decision criteria. Thus, QuantumXL displays insufficient evidence just to help you remind you of how to interpret the p-value. And the rest of the information is still there, the test statistic. But notice that the confidence interval is now the 99% confidence interval, as opposed to before it was the 95% confidence interval. So to compare and contrast the two different ones, this is the result of my first t-test. Notice that the first t-test at the top, it says rejected and accepted. The reason it says rejected and accepted is that the p-value is less than the 0.05, and we're looking at the 95% confidence interval. When we change those options, now it says insufficient evidence because the alpha crit or decision criteria is 0.01, and now the p-value is greater than that, and we also change the confidence interval for the test difference. And that's all you need to do to perform a t-test in Quantum Excel.